She stands at my feet. She looks up. She says, "Daddy." I say, "What's up, honey?" And she said to me, she said, "Will you stop drinking beers?" Okay, so today I want to talk about something a little different, a little more personal. But I want to talk about sobriety, why I got sober, and how I stayed sober. So I've been sober for, I guess, about 4.5 years, and it was hard at first, but ultimately I can link sobriety to completely changing me as a human being. I'm just a 100% different person than I am today versus 4.5 years ago. And why I got started, or why I wanted to become sober, is because before 4.5 years ago, my life was pretty much a loop, just like a continuous cycle of me going to work every day, coming home. If there was no beer at the house, I'd grab beer on the way, grab a case, go home. If there was, go straight home, crack a beer, and I would drink beer the rest of the day, right, until I go to sleep. If I didn't do that, then I would go home, hang out till it was time to put the kids to bed, 7:30, 8 o'clock, put my daughters to sleep, get dressed, leave their mom at home by herself, head to the bar, go hang out with my buddies, play pool, drink, listen to music, just hang out in that bar scene that I loved so much. You're sitting around, you're just talking to all your buddies about a bunch of things you want to do that you'll never do. They're telling you the same thing. Nothing happens there. It's fun. I get it. I loved it. I did. It was my favorite thing to do. But it was no good for me. I didn't realize that while I was doing that. I never thought it was an issue. I mean, how could it be a problem? My bills were paid. The kids were fed. Everything was taken care of. I just drank every day. Then one day, about 4.5 years ago, I'm in the kitchen, have a beer in my hand. I'm just standing there leaning on the counter. And my daughter walks in. Now, at the time, my daughter's not even 5 years old. She's almost 5, but she's not. And she stands at my feet. She looks up. She says, "Daddy." I say, "What's up, honey?" And she said to me, she said, "Will you stop drinking beers?" Now, this caught me off guard a little bit. And instantly, a million questions come through my head. Again, she's 4. How does she recognize that this drink in my hand is anything more than just a drink? And then, how does she recognize that what I'm drinking can cause problems? How could I have failed so much that I allow a 4-year-old to be obligated to ask me to stop drinking? And I realized at that moment I've obviously been failing not just my kids, but their mom and myself. So I'm looking down at her, and I wasn't sure how to answer it, but in my mind, I thought maybe. But I tell her anyway. I look down at her and I say, "Yes, I'll stop drinking beer." I didn't know how serious I was, but I do know, as an innocent 4-year-old standing here, though I didn't know how serious my yes was, I know that in her mind, she knew her dad just quit drinking. So I got to live up to that. So I go over to the sink, I dump that last beer out. And I have beer in the fridge, and I left that there for a little while. I dumped it down the drain. I make it through the week. I don't drink at all. I don't go to the bar. I don't do nothing because, to be honest, I don't really know what to do. I didn't do anything but drink and hang out with my family. And then when I was hanging out with the family, they weren't getting the best part of me, that's for sure. Wasn't real active. I was overweight, wasn't loaded with energy. So, I didn't give them the best of me. So a week goes by, sitting in the kitchen, packing a can of chew. My daughter comes out again. Again, an innocent 4-year-old. She stands in front of me. She looks up. She says, "Daddy." I said, "What's up, honey?" She said, "Remember how you stopped drinking beers for me?" Yeah. So she says, "Will you stop smoking and will you stop putting that stuff in your lips?" I'm confused now because I don't know how to answer that question. It would certainly be difficult, especially now that I'm not drinking. I need something. And I had been smoking much heavier that week and chewing more. And again, I don't do anything in moderation, right? I have this addictive personality, so I smoke a pack and a half a day. I'm chewing a can or two a day. Everything's too much. So I want to answer her, but I understand that no is not an answer I can use, right? No is just not an option. So I could either lie to her and say yes, or I could tell her the truth and say yes. So with everything inside of me, every bit of truth I had, I said yes. And grabbed my pack of cigarettes, crushed them up, threw them in the garbage can, found all my miscellaneous cans of chew laying around, threw them in the garbage can. And, after that, I was led into what felt like at the time the worst and hardest part of my life. And at this point, being sober, I'm not smoking, I'm not chewing, I'm not drinking, I'm not doing anything else. I become very lonely. And this part lasts a while. You also become very unhappy. This part lasts a while too. I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do. I didn't have hobbies, with the exception of hunting. That's 2 or 3 months out of the year. So I really don't know what to do with my time. Obviously, I'm going to spend it with my family. They're still not getting the best version of myself. I don't even know if they're getting a good version of me. Again, low energy, overweight, not active. If they want to play, they got to bring their toys to me because I'm too lazy to get up or get down on the floor. I have all these pains, joint pain, back pain. So I went on. I kept going. I pushed forward. I knew I made a commitment to my daughter. I'm going to stop. And I was lonely for a very long period of time and very unhappy. This went on for 7, 8, 9 months maybe. And what I learned is sobriety, what sobriety does, it gives you the opportunity to find out what actually makes you happy, right? Sobriety brings heavy boredom and unhappiness at first. And there will come a time eventually when you've been lonely long enough and bored long enough, eventually you're going to have enough of that and you're going to decide to do something. Whatever that is, you're going to be like, I need to do something. I can't sit here like this much longer. I can't sit here doing nothing with my life. I can't sit here suppressing this addiction in me or suppressing this addictive behavior of mine, this compulsive behavior of mine. I can't do it any longer. I have to do something. And that loneliness that you hated so much, that loneliness that made you so unhappy, becomes the best part because you find out what you want to do. You're not influenced by the people around you. You don't care what somebody else wants you to do. Nobody's calling you and saying, hey, let's go do this. You don't have anybody. It's just you in your own head. And when you finally get bored enough and have had enough of that, and you do pick something to do, you tend to pick something that you actually wanted to do. Maybe it's even one of those things you used to sit at the bar and talk about, or I'm going to join a gym, I'm going to start running one day, I'm going to start dieting, I'm going to get healthy. Maybe it is one of those things. And when you do pick something, that addiction or that obsessive behavior that you've been trying so hard to suppress inside of you, once you do that thing, all that suppressing you've been doing, you can stop doing that, right? You can stop suppressing that addiction and let it eat. Let it eat. Just go after it. Should you pick up running, that's the first thing you try. Use that part of you, right? That part of you that people think we need to fix. Use that and run. Run as much as possible. Get addicted to running, or get addicted to dieting. Get addicted to losing the weight that you've been talking about losing. Get addicted to being healthy. Sobriety gives you the opportunity to see what it is that you want to do, and the addiction gives you the opportunity to do it with everything inside of you. And I think that's important. I think for so long, and even when I was in AA, I had a counselor. She's trying to fix the addiction. She thinks that's the problem, and everybody thinks that's the problem. She's trying to figure out a way to stop being addicted to things, or she's trying to teach me how to do things in moderation. I don't do things in moderation. I've never been that person. When I do something, I do it to the fullest, whether that's drinking, smoking, or chewing, or whether that's running, eating right, or cold plunging, or just getting healthy. I do it with everything inside of me, with an addictive behavior. So why are we trying to fix that rather than redirect it? I don't want to fix my addiction. I'm not broken. There's not something wrong in my mind. I just found alcohol before I found more positive things. I watched my life go from essentially nothing. There was no quality in it. I had my kids, and I was so thankful for that. I had their mother. I'm so thankful for that, right? I have a beautiful family. I didn't deserve them. The way I was living was not good. I wasn't setting good examples for my kids. Do I want my kids to watch me live that life? How are they going to grow up? Are they going to get older and they're going to be like, oh, I think I'm going to have a beer every day. I'm going to go drinking every day. I'm not going to be active. I'm going to gain weight. It's okay to gain weight. It's okay to be overweight. It's not. There was a point where I'm like, would I be happy if my kids were older and living the same life I was living? No, absolutely not. I'd be crushed. So then why am I living that way? I am their main role model. My whole purpose as a father is to raise these kids to be better than I am. How can I do that living the worst version of myself? So for me, I did start doing things. I started doing lots of things. I did. I started with a cold plunge. Then I, got obsessed with that. It wasn't enough to do it 3 times a week like they recommend. I do it 7 times a week, and I felt great. When I started running, I started eating healthy. I lost a lot of weight. I'm able to run a lot of miles. I loved it. I have kids that look at me now. It's 4.5 years later. My kids are proud of me. They love bragging to their friends, how many miles their dad can run, or how he goes in this cold plunge every day, or they love bragging about it, right? That's amazing. I can honestly sit here now and say, if my kids grew up similar to me, I would be happy. I would be happy with that. I'm a very disciplined person. I'm very healthy. I take care of myself. I take care of my family. I love my family. My family loves me. I look in the mirror. I'm happy and I'm proud of myself. I love who I became. I needed that, right? I have purpose. I have purpose. I never had that before, and I get it. I get how you can be in that situation and not want to leave. I was fortunate enough. I had a reason to step away from it when my daughter asked me that profound question. Really, I was lucky. But what I can tell you is, however it happens for you, There is a much better version of yourself if you're willing to do the work. If you're willing to suffer for that, however long that amount of time is for you before you get up and redirect that addiction to something more positive, you are going to be thankful you did it. I used to have fear of missing out on what was happening at the bar, what my friends were doing. I remember there were so many nights in that early phase of sobriety where I'd go grab a coffee, get in my truck and take a ride, and I would like head to the bar, almost as if I told myself I was going there. You know, I wanted to go there, but I knew I wasn't going to go in. I just wanted to drive by. And I'd drive by and I'd see the same people there on the same deck. And if I had to guess, they were probably having the same conversations, telling the same stories, or, telling somebody what they were going to do, but probably never were going to do. I was there. I did the same thing. And I get it. The environment, the smell of the cigarettes, the pool table, the jukebox, the sound of laughter and everybody having a good time. But it was fake. It wasn't real. It was not real. All that happiness that you were drinking, all the happiness you thought you were experiencing, it wasn't real. And you know how I know that? Because when you were there in it, what did you talk about? The things you wanted to do, but you knew you were never going to. You would tell all these people, "Oh, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to start running. I'm going to join a gym." But you never did it. It was like you were trying to cheat the system and get a quick hit of dopamine, because telling them what you were going to do almost felt as good as just doing it. And there was no shame in it, because they're doing the same thing to you. You were all just going to tell each other these things, and nobody was going to put the work in to do it. You were just going to meet them back at the bar the same time the next day and have the same conversations. I only realized how much of a problem it was being out of it and seeing it now. And now I have fear of them missing out, like they're missing life. And obviously, if you're watching this and you're a guy that just goes out and can have a beer with dinner or have a beer every once in a while or occasionally, I'm obviously not talking to you. But if you're the guy that drinks every day or almost every day, and you drink throughout the day, I'm talking to you. There's a better life. There's a better quality of life. There's a better version of yourself. And I think you should want that. You should try whatever it takes to get you to just try sobriety. And I think you would find that you were much happier. I certainly am. I love my life. I really do. I'm genuinely happy with who I am. And I could have never said that before. I really couldn't have told anybody that before. If I did, I would have been lying. I'm not really sure why I wanted to talk about this, but I'm glad I did. I don't want to sound like the type of person that's like, because I'm sober, you should be sober. But I do believe if you drink all the time, I really think you could be happier without it. I think you could be better. And I think there's more to life than just trying to find this fake happiness that comes with drinking, or comes with the bar, or comes with these friends that you have that are really just drinking buddies. I think there's much more. And I hope maybe if you're one of those guys that are drinking like that and we're looking for a reason to slow down or stop, I hope this helps. I hope that me telling you the difference between life then and life now, maybe it gives you a reason to just try it. Just try and stop for a little bit and see how you feel. And it's going to be hard. It will be very hard, but it'll be very worth it. Again, the most troubling times of becoming sober, I now look back and I thank God that I went through this. It was the best part. It needed to happen. That loneliness was so crucial to sobriety, so you could find out who you really were. You needed to figure that out. I needed to figure that out. I had no idea who I was. And now I know exactly who I am. And I know who I want to be. And I just try to grow every day. You know, my goal in life is to just be a better father, be a better partner. I don't want to live for anybody else anymore. I don't live for anybody. I live life for myself, and I live life for my family, and I live life for God. And that's it. That's all that's important to me. And if you want to be a part of that, that's awesome. And I'm here. You know, you might have trouble finding friends at first. That was hard for me because, you know, once you've been lonely enough, like I said, you go through that stage where you're alone, and then you do find stuff to do. You start doing those things, right? And you do it with that obsessive nature inside of you, that addictive nature, and you go after it, and you're doing it all the time. What's cool about that is you end up finding friends. You know, when I started running, I met friends at races. And the best part about that is somebody didn't ask me to come to the race, and I didn't ask nobody to come to the race. I met another person who was there because they were doing something they like to do, and I was there doing something I like to do. So then it turns into a genuine friendship. And then you start to do that with other aspects of your life, because you're not going to stop there. You're going to find other things you like to do also, because that's what we do. We're addicted to everything that makes us feel good. We're not broken because we're addicted to things. No, that's a good thing. We just have to be able to point that in the right direction. Be addicted to the good things in life. Be addicted to the positive things in life. And you will watch your life change in the most radical ways. And anyway, I don't want to make this too long. And if you're listening and you needed this, I hope this helps. I hope you give it a try. And maybe you have a story. I'd like to hear about it. But should this help you and you decide to go down this path, good luck, and just stay focused, you know. Stay really focused. There's such a better quality of life on the other side of it. So I hope this helps. But thank you.